If you are thinking of moving to Lake Worth, Florida, this is a video for you. My name is Fernandez. I'm with Living in Palm Beach, powered by eXp Luxury. Welcome to Lake Worth Beach. So if you're thinking about moving and or exploring this area here we call South Florida, follow this channel, subscribe to this channel. Every week we talk about something unique about this great area we call sunny South Florida. In this video, we are going to review the pros and the cons of moving to Lake Worth, Florida. Each week we show a video what it's like, whether it's a community or a town, what it's like living here in South Florida. All right, let's cut right to the chase. One of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth Beach is the location. Notice I use Lake Worth Beach and Lake Worth interchangeably. Around 2019, they used this part. You can see back here. This is Lake Worth Beach. If you go west of here, it's Lake Worth. We are helping probably more people in Lake Worth than in Lake Worth Beach, but they changed the name of this beach here to Lake Worth Beach, this area to Lake Worth Beach, because here in Palm Beach, there's Boynton Beach, there's Juno Beach. Everything has a beach. And so Lake Worth wanted to join the party, and they now call this area Lake Worth Beach. We are about 64 miles north of Miami. We are right up there is West Palm Beach. We are just south of downtown West Palm Beach. You can barely see in the distance, a little bit foggy this morning, the buildings from there. Lantana is right there. One of the best piers in Palm Beach, is right here. That's Lake Worth. That's the Lake Worth Beach Pier. People will pay a few dollars to go out there. They'll go out there to either look at what it's like. When you're at the end of that pier, you feel like you're in the middle of the ocean. People will also fish off that pier. It was not so long back, and I'll maybe see if I can find some B-roll clip. There was a shark scare when I was on the beach here during the day. You will get sharks in this water. More on that later. So if you are thinking about moving to this area, most of the new construction, most of the new building is that way west. As you can see, we have a lot of condos here, and if you haven't seen it already, go look over there. We have a video on the crisis or the concerns when it comes to buying a condo in today's environment. I was just talking to a couple here, they're right there actually. They were asking me what the cons to living in this area is. Well, that's one of them. It can be expensive. But going back to the location, you are near a lot of things. You're in central Palm Beach here. So you are close to downtown West Palm Beach. You're close to everything that Palm Beach has to offer. And of course, the greater area. Miami is only 64 miles, as I mentioned. There's a lot that Miami has to offer. Culturally speaking, we have as I like to say, we have a small town feel at the same time in a big metropolitan area. Lake Worth is experiencing pretty good growth. In 2010, this area, this Lake Worth Beach area was 35,000 people. 10 years later, it's 42,000 people. As you know, more people, not just because of location, more and more people are moving here to Florida. So one of the cons when it comes to moving to Lake Worth is, well, if you were to Google crime in Lake Worth, you'll see what I mean by con on that. It doesn't have the reputation of being the safest area, and there are some pockets that are not maybe not less safe than other places around Palm Beach. Let's put it that way. That's why if you're looking to move in this area, I highly recommend working with a realtor, someone who knows the area. Last thing you want to do is move here, especially from way out from another place, and make a mistake. Now, that's especially prevalent if you're moving to the west or the eastern part here of Lake Worth. Like along the beach here, these condos are really meant for people just to live around the beach area. But if you go a little bit further west of here, there's the downtown area. Downtown has a lot of stuff. I talk about location. That's a pro in that regard. But if you go off of the beaten path in downtown, there might be some questionable places. There are some places that look really cheap, like Great Parkins. There might be a reason for that. you need to work. If you're looking to move to this area, I highly recommend getting someone to help you navigate what's good and bad and what the risks are, whether you're moving to a downtown Lake Worth or anywhere really in Lake Worth. But here's one thing that I think that's worth pointing out. We have had really good success out west. Out in the western part of Lake Worth, there's a lot of newer places, some good development. I'll tell you a little bit more about what's coming up later, but there's a lot of exciting things developing in the western part of Lake Worth, Florida. 18 years ago, my family and I relocated to this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, and we haven't looked back. Today, we find it an honor to help people, perhaps like you, do the exact same thing. If you're thinking about moving to this area and you want advice and you want to ask questions from people who have actually done it before, there's a few ways to get a hold of us. Down below is our email address. That's one great way. Also on the screen, you see our phone number. You can either call or text that number. But literally two of the best ways is in the description and the comments section. There's a link. Click on that link. Well, that'll do it. Except some time for us to speak either through a phone call or through a Zoom, whatever way you feel most comfortable. In any case, we have your back when it comes to relocating here to sunny South Florida. So one of the pros when moving to Lake Worth is this beautiful beach. Here we are at sunrise here, Lake Worth Beach. Over this way you have Benny's on the beach. That's a famous restaurant. If you try to make a reservation for Benny's on the beach on a special day like Mother's Day or something to that effect, you will be waiting a long time. My recommendation is get there early. It's a really popular place. But one of the pros is this beach. It has the pier that jets way out into the ocean. There's only two really in the area that go that far out. This one here at Lake Worth and up that way in northern Palm Beach County, Juno Beach. Both are great beaches. It's a little bit more crowded here, as you can tell. Look at the crowd down here. Juno Beach is a lot more quiet. What bothers me like crazy is you have to pay for parking here, which is ridiculous. And so that's one of my pet peeves. If you follow this channel, you know that. If you go to Juno Beach, you don't have to. But look at that sun come up. I love looking at sunrises here in Florida. But again, one of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth Beach is you can wake up to this. So one of the cons when it comes to moving to Lake Worth Beach is the weather. Yes, I did say the weather. There's actually a bad aspect. There's a couple of bad aspects to it. But let me tell you this. If you do not like humidity, Lake Worth is not for you. We live in a subtropical area here in South Florida, and we get humid. It's actually pretty humid. It's early in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen, and we are in the early part of the summer, and we can already feel it. So if you have a problem with humidity, you should not even consider moving to Lake Worth, Florida. One of the other cons when it comes to the weather here in Lake Worth is we get hurricanes. I'm sure you've read about that. So we get risk of hurricane. About every year we get some kind of bad storm. We haven't had a significant storm, knock on wood, recently, but we always have the threat here in South Florida. We always have the threat of having a hurricane. So we have to be careful of that. So there's also a couple of other things that you have to be aware of in regards to that. Our homeowners insurance is a little bit higher than most places around the country. There is a way around it. Stick around later. I'll go into a little bit more on that. But there is I'll cut to the chase right now. In general, there's a way to navigate to get your insurance lower by buying new construction. Again, that's more out east, more out west. When you're buying a condo, like out here, that is a significant risk. I was looking at one of I did a pros and cons video on Lake Worth a while back, probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And I had mentioned then about the risk of owning a condo and association fees were going to be higher. Funny enough, all of a sudden it's the rage on YouTube now about how this is happening. We've been saying that this has been a risk for a while. Way back when they had Surfside Towers collapse, it changed the landscaping. It changed the landscape for all condos, and no place here in South Florida is immune from it. So if you're looking to buy a east in Lake Worth and at a condo like this, just recognize there is a risk, and that's one of the cons we're moving to Lake Worth. So one of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth is the weather. Didn't I just say that? I did. So I use it as a con. Now I'm going to say as a pro. There's a couple of, there's something, look at the sunrise. I love it. There's a big benefit to this area and the weather. You can literally go in this ocean in January. If you look anywhere else in the country, you cannot do that. How beautiful. I know you Californians love your beach out there, but I dare you to go into the water in January in California. It is freezing. You can go swimming here. The waters are significantly warmer here. And one of the big pros about the weather here too is from an activity standpoint, you could do so much more. I play softball, as you know, people who have followed the channel know that. I'm playing softball in January. A typical January, February morning here in Lake Worth, Florida is you wake up, it's 50 degrees, and we get a high of about 75 degrees, and that's a typical day. Occasionally, we do get into the 40s. Once in a blue moon, we'll get into the 30s at night. But for the most part, the activities that you can do here in Lake Worth is one of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth, Florida. So one of the other pros when it comes to Lake Worth in regards to the weather is what it brings is the activity. There's not just the sports. You can play soccer in January for the kids and all that, but also I just saw someone paddleboarding around here. You could do all kinds of water sports here. Up north, more so in Juno Beach, there's more surfing up there. The weather seems a little bit rougher. They've got a pier like this one, pretty similar. More surfers. The surf seems to be a little bit wilder. Florida here, we are the boating capital of the world. We have people that look here just at boating places. There are some very reasonably priced places. I looked at one for a client recently, up in Jupiter, believe it or not, that was actually very reasonable, and you have access to a dock and everything else. So fishing, another great thing. Swimming, obviously. If you have kids, we moved here with young kids. I highly recommend get them in a swimming program right away. They will be invited to so many birthday parties with people with pools in the backyard. So that's one of the things to be cognizant if you are a parent and moving here to Lake Worth. But literally everything is people fishing out that way. Literally, there's so much when it comes to water sports here and living in Lake Worth and South Florida. One of the cons about the weather, and I mentioned it briefly before, is there are sharks out here. They are, the waters here are pretty warm and the sharks love it. Between here and like Bermuda and all the Caribbean there is like a haven, is a haven for sharks. You need to be a little bit careful. There's a sign up if you go up this way. There's a sign that'll give you an idea of like a jelly, like Portuguese man o' war. You might have heard of them. They're like a type of jellyfish. You've got to be a little bit careful when it comes to being out here. The sign will warn you about the tide and all that kind of stuff. It'll tell you what the temperature is. But in general, like I said, we have warmer waters, which makes this area very unique when living here in Lake Worth, Florida. One of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth, Florida is, and I touched on this a minute ago, we have all the benefits of being small enough here in Lake Worth, and all the benefits of being large enough, being next to a large metropolitan city. If you go to Miami, we have every sports team in the book in there. You have the baseball, you have the Marlins, football, you have the Dolphins. By the way, football is really big in Florida. I'm not sure, I didn't realize that until I really moved down here. I'm originally from New York. Those of you who can tell from my accent and or follow the channel know this. I find that baseball is much bigger in New York. Football is much bigger in Florida. One of those things. The rage now, if you want to get out, like I said, we could do stuff all year long, is pickleball. Lots of new construction communities are building pickleball. Tennis is really big here, obviously, as well, because we can play that all year round. Golf is huge, too. Lots of great golf courses and golf communities. You could buy a golf cart and keep it in your yard and drive it to your town center. There's a lot of that going on, especially in the new construction communities. I can't wait to touch on that a little bit later. But one of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth is we have a small town feel in a big city. Miami has a lot going for it down there. You have South Beach, it's expensive down there. I'll tell you that. If you're buying real estate down there, you expect to spend, especially in a prime area, I mean, you could spend millions and millions of dollars easily, $6 million, $10 million. There's South Beach, there's Lincoln Road. Culturally speaking, there's a ton to do down there. There's Coral Gables. The other great thing about this area is we are close enough to like Disney. We're 2.5-hour ride to Disney up north. And if you go south, let's say about 4 hours, you can get to Key West and all the Keys along the way. So you can go 2 hours north to Orlando, 2 hours south to the Keys. So we are literally we are in the best of both worlds when moving to and living here in Lake Worth, Florida. One of the pros when it comes to moving to Lake Worth, Florida is the schools. Yes, I did say the schools. When I moved down here, people were warning me how bad the schools were going to be in Florida, and they could not be any more incorrect. So reach out to my team. I get a lot of questions on this. I know it's an important topic. I get people that tell me, if I can't get a good school, I'm not moving down there. I can understand that. Well, rest assured, coming from New York, I find here, comparing New York to Florida, there's a lot more choice down here. We have charter schools. We have magnet schools. We have private schools like everyone else, like everywhere else does. But we have more choice here. And the colleges here, you can't beat. They're the best colleges literally in the whole country. So if you have any questions I'd say it's a pro. If you want to challenge that, leave a comment down below. I'd love to take you on. But one of the pros when it comes to moving and living in Lake Worth is the schools. I'm going to cut to the chase when it comes to moving here in Lake Worth. And this is part of the part you're going to really want to know. When buying a place here, which I know that's what you are thinking about, a lot of you, we help more people go west. I mentioned that briefly before. There are a lot of new construction. One of the reasons I wanted to make this video, there's a lot of new construction projects coming up. Western Lake Worth is next to Wellington. Wellington A-rated schools. I get a lot of people that ask for Wellington just based on that. But there's a lot of new construction. There was Windsong was out there. I remember watching my video from a year and a half, 2 years ago, talking about upcoming Windsong. It's actually just basically sold out now. That's in Western Lake Worth. I think I mentioned the Fields back then. That is Western Lake Worth near the Florida Turnpike. That is sold out right now. But there are some big ones coming up. Greyhawk Landing is one. And there's a big one that haven't even announced the name, which is is off the what do you call it, Route 441 or State Road 7, which is the western corridor through western part of Florida, our area, Western Palm Beach. So there's a lot of exciting stuff. If you do go into if you're considering new construction, do not go there on your own. You need independent representation. I get people that walk into these places on their own and call me like a week or two later, and after looking at it, and they say, "Ray, I wish I saw your video first." It is a mistake. We are a relocation company here living in Palm Beach, Florida. We help people relocate from all across the world, all across the United States to here in this area. We've done it before. We know exactly what's involved when it comes to moving here. The other thing about that is that the builders, when you go into the builders on your own, you're basically making a deal with the seller. And if there's a better deal, they're not going to tell you because they want you to buy their stuff. And we here at Living in Palm Beach, Florida, we have an unbiased approach. If there's a better deal in another community, we are going to tell you. If there's a better deal when it comes to existing homes, we are going to tell you. So if you're considering moving to this area, South Florida, Lake Worth, reach out. We would love to help you, and we'll do right by you. I promise you that. The other thing when it comes to relocating to here in Lake Worth and the Palm Beach area and South Florida area is we do here at Living in Palm Beach a lot of new construction. We have a great relationship with all the builders. We are a new home co-broker. We understand all the new construction communities coming around this whole area we call South Florida. Another great thing about unique to this area, you can see, Russell, let me a couple things. You see there, they have these areas marked off, these they like squared off. Those are sea turtle nestings. These are sea turtles is one of a big area, more so in Juno Beach than here, but in this area they have it too. Sea turtles will be hatched from there and walk out into the yonder and start their life here in Palm Beach. But more about what's around here. If you live in the area, downtown Lake Worth, where it might not be exactly, maybe not, some areas might not be the ideal place to live, it is a great place to go. They have some beautiful restaurants there. Paradiso is one of my favorites, high-end. Dave's Last Resort. There's the Lake Worth Playhouse. My daughter actually has done some plays in there. But there's a lot of good stuff in the downtown area. So if you live here in Lake Worth, you will be going to the downtown Lake Worth. I promise you we'll be going up there to downtown West Palm Beach. There's so much to offer here in this great place that we call Palm Beach, Florida. One of the things I think is helpful for people, and I know it would be for me when I was moving down here, is to look at this place on a map. So let's go to the map.
So here we are on the map, Lake Worth Beach. Here is the pier, Lake Worth Pier. As you can tell, it jets way out there. I'll focus a little bit here quickly on what we have here in the immediate area. Here is like that's the Lake Worth chair, the big famous chair where you sit and overlook the beach. This is the casino area, the Lake Worth Casino, where there's no gambling as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. But it is a Lake Worth Casino. You will notice that there's a lot. If I zoom out, you will notice there are a lot of condos over here. Look at all these. They're just lined right up. Very much a big area for oceanside condo living. But let's take a look at the bigger part of Lake Worth. Downtown area is quite robust. I'll mention more about restaurants later and whatnot, but there's a lot of stuff here. Again, if you live in this area, somewhere's in here, there's some areas that you need to be a little bit careful. You can rent a place around here for, not that we do rentals per se, but you can rent a place around here for not a lot of money, and there's a lot of good reason for that. But here, just to zoom out, this is one of the aspects I really want to impress upon you. When you're living in and moving to Lake Worth, so out here is where the real growth is right now. If you go straight out here, this is on a good morning when there's no traffic. You can do this in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Most days it's going to be about half hour on normal traffic. Palm Beach skate zone, yeah, big area. If you are into skating and hockey and all that, one of the best places in all of South Florida for that. A lot of the new construction for Lake Worth area is taking place in this area. Borderline Wellington, and they do play on the fact that they are part of the Wellington schools. But if you look at overall, if you zoom out, you can see that Lake Worth is also very close to the center of Palm Beach, the downtown West Palm Beach area. Again, zooming out even further, you could see, as I will talk about later, how close we are to Miami. So there's you can get from the Lake Worth area, which is right here, Lake Worth Beach, down to Miami, 64 miles. It'll take you, during a Saturday morning with no traffic, it'll take you an hour. Most days it'll take you, on the average day, it'll take you an hour and a half to 2 hours. So, adjust accordingly. We have here, John Prince Park is like I talk about activities a little bit later, great place for softball, soccer, all kinds of kids' activities. This is sort of the dividing line right about here. You see Lake Worth Beach. This sort of is like the dividing line between Lake Worth Beach and the greater Lake Worth area. Okeechobee Park, another great park. They have, as you can see, they have a boat here. Water skiing, they do water skiing in there. They do BMXing in there. There's just a lot of stuff for activities around here. But most of the communities in the western part of Lake, most of the communities that we're helping people in Lake Worth are right here in the western part of Lake Worth, Florida.
Lake Worth, Palm Beach, paradise here in South Florida.